Hello, hello, and welcome to Paint Minis Live. I'm your host, Bill T, and tonight we're going to be doing up even more Wolfenstein. So come on in, grab yourself a drink, and we'll get to painting here momentarily. I usually like to start the stream with a little, kind of news or updates or kind of whatever I've got going on. I don't really have a ton going on right now, beyond just painting away like a maniac, and working out too. Uh, which I had a really nice stream earlier too. A lot of folks came out for that one. I'm just gonna get my flannel off here because I'm a little bit warm, just a little toasty down here tonight, which is okay by me because now we're kind of rolling into the fall months, and that's just fine. Last stream we did the super Soldaten guys. They're kind of more robot-y looking dudes. We got those guys kind of done with some source lighting, a couple other little effects here and there. As usual, I'm a little tardy to my own party when it comes to tonight. There's just a lot of stuff to get done ahead of time. On the kind of usual stuff. What's going on? Hey, Bear, the Genx GM is in the house, and hello, Tonka Todd. Bear, how you doing? I've been really enjoying your live streams. It's been quite fun sitting back and watching what unfolds over there. And I also have been really liking the heroic characters that come into my inbox from Patreon. Which, if you didn't know, Bear the... Yay, what's going on, Neymar? Good to see you. Good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. But yeah, if you haven't seen Bear the Genx GM, he's quite the character himself, but he also produces a game called Heroic. And it's a very fun game. I got a chance to play it at Claricon. Very comic book hero themed game with some... it's pretty easy to pick up. It's got a little bit of a learning curve, but... it's not that hard, and once you kind of get a hold of it, it makes sense. But I've been really enjoying the characters that have come through. I think it was, let's see, what was the last one that came in here? Boop. I'm just going to check. It was, I don't want to butcher the name. It was like Dr. It was a wind kind of guy. Dr. Vortex was the last one that I read. But I really enjoy kind of some of the things that come out of Bear's Patreon for his game. So if you haven't checked it out, please go ahead and do that. The Wheeling Dragon, long time no see, indeed. Yeah. How you been? Tell me about it. Neymar, it's good to see you again too. Thanks for tuning in for the workout stream and kind of cheering me on that front. Tonight you get the full show here on what I actually do for Paint Minis Live, which is just kind of what it sounds like on the tin. We paint minis and we paint them live. I'm going to get my other camera set up so you can see the good stuff. Yeah, I thought Dr. Vortex was really kind of a cool idea. Really kind of a cool idea. Yeah, it is nighttime for me. It's 8 o'clock. Yeah, Bear could probably answer that better for you there, Tonka Todd. How have I been? I've been busy, like ridiculously busy, but it's all good busy, you know? It can be a little overwhelming at times, but luckily I have a wonderful community of folks who I can share my passion with and kind of keep busy in that sense. Let's bring the painting camera in here. So yeah, we have had a health scare last month. Okay. Well, I'm glad to hear it sounds like everything's all right. So that's good. That is very good. Yeah, I'll be live tomorrow around the same time. But yeah, thanks for joining us. And have a good night there, Neymar. I'm gonna go ahead and get some tunes going here before we start our paint up session because I kind of like to bop some tunes. It's the same royalty free playlist we've listened to on this channel quite often, but it works out. It works out. We'll just kind of scroll towards the bottom and see what we got. Yeah, that'll work. Bear likes to do some like AI music and stuff for his stream. I think that's really cool. I'd like to figure out if that's something we could work into PML, so I don't have to constantly search for ones that are explicitly strike free. But yeah, let me know how the volume is on your end. Come out of school at 2. Gotcha. Cool. Hey, take it easy, Bear. And have fun creating out there in the world. What you do is important to our hobby, so thanks for doing it. Last stream, we kind of finished up. We finished up these super Soldaten guys with a little bit of source lighting kind of effect going on with their Tesla coily looking things on top, and I thought these guys came out actually really well. One thing I've kind of been thinking about is, these rotating barrel-looking contraption here, if there's anything else I can do with that. But we will contemplate that for a few minutes as I continue to get set up on my end for the rest of the stream. I'm gonna just see if I can't tilt this camera down a little bit more. Make my own life a little bit more comfortable. Yeah, I saw that. I saw your pictures on the PML Discord there, Wheeling Dragon, of all your kind of resin craft creations, and I thought those were super cool. I am not gonna lie, I kind of want one. So if you're ever deciding that you want to put some of those up for sale, let me know. And if I have the funds, I will definitely go ahead and partake on that front. My chair is acting up here a little bit. Give me just a moment, friends. There we go. Yeah, thanks for the compliment. Honestly, this is just kind of all of the stuff that I've accumulated doing the hobby for a couple of years. Most of the studio is stuff that is either I made or bought on a really a ridiculous budget. Some things I had to buy like piecemeal, like one at a time. Other things are literally hand-me-downs or like off the street kind of stuff I just picked up. So we're balling on a budget here at PML Studio, but hopefully in the future we'll have even more fun things that we can use and watch happen live on stream here. Well, yeah, I mean, talking about missing streams, I missed them too. That was okay. Yeah. Well, I will go ahead and give you a DM when I got the time. But talking about missed streams, when I was kind of radio silent there, working on the PML web shop stuff, it kind of stunk, Like I'm really, I really missed the community, and we even have like somber music in the background. Let's all get out our tiny violins, friends. But I did miss the community and kind of doing this stuff and talking to all of you, because it got me excited again for going out and doing some of this hobby stuff and just pushing forward with my idea and my vision for kind of how I wanted to operate with PML. What's going on? Brian from Weird World War II is here. If you haven't, Brian, you got to see these guys. These are the super Soldaten that we did. We did up last stream. I think they're kind of Tesla coil things. Turned out really, really well. Still kind of a bit of a work in progress. I'm thinking about maybe a couple things to add to these guys, but I have a ton of minis to crank out. So we're we're gonna see what we can do lickety split on these guys to maybe give them just an even bit more of an edge. But they're definitely I think they came out really well. But yeah. But yeah, it was just to get back to kind of missing the stream part. After I got done with it, I felt like I had a bit more of a weight off my shoulders. It was because I had never done anything with web design or coding or using any of these things. It was all new things that I had to learn and try and put together and make work. And I wanted it to be really easy for our affiliates that are out there to kind of make something that, really make it easy on them to do. So it just required a lot of man hours. It really did, and it cut out from the painting part. And I just realized it's kind of a cornerstone for me. This is a very kind of therapeutic thing. Just like Laz was saying the other night on the Friday night Color Cup Cabaret test, it's a therapy thing for him, and I can kind of relate to that too. It's very therapeutic to sit behind the painting desk and make everything happen to kind of bring your visions to life. Nice one there, Brian. Nice. Yeah. Well, I'm glad to hear you're enjoying it so far. Next up, we kind of have these. They're like, I don't even know. They're like the space version. Maybe you can tell me, but it looks to me like these are the space version of the. I never made it that far in the game, but I think these are like the moon guys, maybe, or some type of stormtrooper. I'm not sure. But I'm gonna go and look. We're gonna look at some reference pictures, and well, at least I am. I would like to keep a presence, if there's anybody out there in Germany watching. So I'm not gonna share the pictures unless certain symbology is cut out of there. But I'm just gonna take a quick minute and look up some reference photos for these guys. I think they're from like New Colossus. Yeah, there's a wiki for this, isn't there? Yeah. Heck yeah, I really enjoyed watching your playthrough of that kind of board game style war game that you were doing there, Brian. That was, I had a kick out of that. I watched that for like an hour or two, I think. Space Troopers, yeah. This Wolfenstein wiki has been my friend. I know you sent me an entire batch of pictures for these guys, and you did all the research. I just haven't been able to find that in my email, and it's really kind of irking me. No, we're looking for I think we're looking for the enemies section of the Wolfenstein wiki here. Bam. Let's see. Can I search this? Yeah. Space Trooper? We're gonna put Trooper. Oh yeah, heck yeah. Oh, these guys look sick. Okay, and they don't have any of the stuff that'll get you delisted in Germany. Perfect. Let's take a look. Part of being a painter, especially when it comes to stuff that's already established material. I'm gonna go ahead and actually turn the music off here because we're just chatting. But part of doing a if you're doing something that's already in universe, like a Space Marine chapter or something that's already pre-established, looking at reference photos can really help you. And that's kind of true for illustration, art, like any kind of artwork. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here, and we'll take a look at our reference photo. And this is kind of what these guys look like. I don't think there's a full screen option, so we're just going to try and cheese it a little bit. There we go. Actually, can I open this in a new tab? Yeah, we can do that. Boom. All right, now we can kind of zoom in. So I'm seeing like a tan. There's like a blue going on, like a medical blue color, and then we've got this red going on. Basically, it's three colors. So we're gonna rock that, and it looks like their gun's white, or like that same tan color. All right, yeah, we'll see you when you get back. Thanks for. All right, yeah, cool. So we can definitely do this. It's like let's take a look at what we've got for paints here. I'm literally gonna hold this up to the screen and eyeball it. Got like a bright jade color. It's not really green. It's more like a blue. It's more like it's like that weird medical blue color, which is something that's a bit tough to find. I've got like a gray blue. Is that more on point? We're getting kind of close. That jade is that's close too. Here are the colors that I'm kind of considering right now. So if we look at our reference image here, I've got, this might actually be a better use of that. So I'm thinking bright jade, just because it's kind of creeping on that same, like the color of my gloves is kind of what I'm trying to match. The other color that I have is gray blue, which is this color, which is kind of close too. It's a little bit of a toss-up. The other one I can kind of think of is turquoise. I think turquoise might match a little bit. But it's funny, once, when you select your colors and what they, when you finally get them on the model, they kind of may change. That's jade. Let's see here, turquoise. I haven't used turquoise in a while. Honestly, I don't think. Yeah, here, that's getting close too. So here are our colors that we've got. Turquoise feels super hokey. Yeah, we're gonna go with this bright jade. I think bright jade will work out pretty well. So that'll be our tertiary color. And then we need like kind of a tan white, like an off-white, it looks like. I've got pale yellow that might fit the bill, but that's kind of a bit too yellow. Let's go with like a dark ivory, maybe an ivory color, because these are, yeah, maybe an ivory. Ivory would work out pretty well. Let's see here. I can show, I've got color swatches here that I can show the actual color. But I think, yeah, ivory is going to be the next color we're going to select for this. That's going to be the armor. The last color we're going to do, this looks like kind of a burnt red, not quite a full fire engine red. Oh, we're just going to keep smacking our paints right into all of the good stuff there. All right. Take a chill pill. That's burnt orange. It's not quite that either. Here. Yeah, this burnt red would probably fit the bill pretty well, if I'm being honest. Yeah, so burnt red is going to be our final color for the actual armor. Hey, good to see you, Tonka Todd. Take care. We'll talk to you soon. So yeah, we kind of have our We have our burnt red. Let's see. Switch tabs. Yeah, there we go. So we're going to have our burnt red color. We're going to have our kind of off-white. I don't think these guys are bleach white. And then we're going to have our kind of medical blue color in there. And we'll kind of go through and touch up gray for the hoses and stuff. And just kind of, we'll see what happens as we paint. But that is my plan, friends. That is my plans for this squad of 6, I think, that we have currently primed. So we're gonna go and do that. And then we'll kind of get to even more of them. I think there's more of them here. I just don't have them primed. But that was the first thing I saw, so that's what we're gonna do. Boop. All right. Cool beans. So I'm gonna bob some tunes. We're gonna get to laying down some paint. We're gonna start, I think, with this ivory color, to be honest. And then we're gonna move from there. All right. So I'm gonna stick this ivory on the paint shaker, and it's just a little nail lacquer shaker that I have. It's nothing super fancy, but it saves my wrist for other much more important tasks. Well, welcome back. Welcome back. Thanks for being here. We just got all of our colors selected for our miniature here. This is kind of the reference art that we're going off of. So we're going to make that guy look like that. Hey, we'll keep it weird here for you, Brian, and sleep well. I'm sure you'll see a short or something fun in your Discord messages after tonight's stream. All right. We got 4 live chat lounge cats, or at least that's what it's telling me. My guess is it's a little not quite up to date, but thanks for being here, everyone. We're going to give this a little bit more time on the paint shaker, since anything white takes a little bit more time. It's a bit thicker. A little bit thicker. All right. Our airbrush is up to PSI here. We have our lovely, tonight we're going to be using our Infinity. Since I'm not priming anything, this seems like a perfect opportunity to break this bad boy out. Because it shreds models when it comes to putting down paint. So we're going to put probably about 6 drops of flow improver in the bottom just to get our needle on our airbrush nice and lubricated and ready to rock. Then we're going to put 4 drops of paint in here. This is looking actually thinner than I was expecting. So approximately, 50-50, a little bit more. And then what we're going to do next, which is kind of my favorite thing to do, I can find me a sponge. I just take a regular old makeup sponge. This is just one of those ones that you find that's like a triangle. I just stick it on the end, right on the needle guard. And I'll go ahead and squeeze that, pinch it, and then you'll see we're going to create bubbles and mix the paint in the cup right there. And you'll see it kind of start to congeal with well, not really congeal, but mix with the flow improver that we put in there. And you can find YouTube videos on how to make your own flow improver if you really don't want to buy it. I just prefer Vallejo, and honestly, for me, it's a convenience thing. I could mix my own with a little bit of Windex and glycerin and distilled water, but I think because I run a live show, I'd rather just pour it straight from a bottle real quick and not have to worry about it. So that's what we're doing. Let's get this guy a little bit of a close up here. And we're going to just start laying down. We're going to start laying down paint here. I'm going to try and stick to almost doing like a zenithal highlight. If you haven't heard that term, a zenithal highlight basically is just shooting paint from the top down. It allows you to leave some really nice shadows. If you take a look at his pants here, we're kind of making that effect. It's super contrasty. A lot of folks like it, which I can kind of understand. But we're going to go ahead and keep making kind of rounds on this guy and slowly but surely lightening him up as we just kind of keep going around our mini here. We're going to make sure his helmet and kind of the top part of him, though, is nice and painted in this crispy, clean white, or kind of off-white. It's more of a taupe. If you've ever done interior house painting stuff, I'm sure you know what taupe looks like. It's kind of eggshell white. I'm going to get just a little bit of paint underneath him too, but it's going to be a lot less than what I'm putting on currently, so that we can kind of keep some shadows, but still make it readable as our original color here. Hey, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And honestly, this is... painting models is... sure, it might be a little bit of a talent, but what it really is just knowing the tips and tricks to kind of do all of the things. And I'll teach them to you for free. All you got to do is watch, kind of take it in, and ask questions. You don't have to use an airbrush for this. You could use a regular brush for this too. And I'll show you on the next one how you could do it with like your mom's old makeup brush. So here's our guy so far. You know, you kind of make a second skin on him with the airbrush, and you leave some of the primed gray behind, and you get you get some shadows that pop up with your model, and it looks really nice. Okay, cool. Well, how do we do that with a regular brush? Well, I'll show you. Basically, what you want to do is something a bit heavier than standard dry brushing. I'm going to just clean out my airbrush really quick here so that none of the paint dries in there. Because the last thing I want to do is clean dry paint out of an airbrush. It's not really fun. But I'm just going to go ahead and get some of that paint out of there. Alright. So our airbrush is clean enough for me to kind of move on here. So I'm going to grab a giant out of my kind of dry brushes, which honestly, they are legitimately makeup brushes. That's all this is just makeup brushes. The giant one is maybe a bit too giant. I would probably use that for vehicles, but I'm gonna show you here. So this is just a cheap makeup brush that I got from somewhere. I don't even remember where. But you can find these. They come in like 4 sizes. They're big and poofy. They're soft, kind of bristle brush. The next thing we're gonna do is I'm gonna get a palette here, and you can use anything for a palette. Honestly, the Dungeon Minister uses egg cartons. That's what he really likes. I know there's other people who use a piece of cardboard. Anything you want to do. But what we're gonna do here is we're gonna take our ivory paint, and I'm gonna put a decent dab on our palette, and then we're gonna take our. I only need a couple of drops because I'm doing 1 mini with this technique, but what we're gonna do here is take our dry brush. We don't have any water on here, so our working time with the paint isn't gonna be very long. But I'm essentially just gonna make the rounds there, and then I'm going to start wiping away paint on my glove till I get probably about half of it off. And it's really just eyeballing at this point. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take our mini here and we're just going to lightly start to dust the paint on there, and it's going to start to hit raised edges. Now this is a bit more stark, I'd say, compared to the airbrush, but that's okay. If this is what you got, it'll come out just fine too. I'll probably end up hitting this guy with the airbrush too, just because this is special. You know, this stuff is kind of this is for Brian at Weird World War II, so I'm gonna make sure that I pull out my best stunts for him. But as you can see, the more that we start working this paint away, and I started from the top intentionally so that we get most of it on the top of this guy. But you're getting the same effect essentially, and we'll zoom in really close on him too, so you can see what's kind of happened here. But in order to keep all of the detail that's in there, I'm going to show you kind of what it's at after a first rough pass with this semi-dry brush. So that's kind of what you get on your first pass with a dry brush. Hey, take care there, Namar. Good to hear from you. So yeah, I mean, when we compare it to the airbrushed mini, it's a little bit different, but we're kind of going down the same route here. After you do a second pass, you're going to get much more detailed colors. I just use the airbrush because I'm comfortable with it and I've got the tool to make it happen. But if you're doing this at home, do a second pass of that kind of semi-dry brush technique. Just remember to start at the top and work your way down, and you'll get wonderful contrast. So that's something fun. That's a little piece of educational doodads for you. I'm going to go ahead and zoom our camera back out a little bit. And we'll get to trucking. I'm gonna do this guy with the airbrush though. I'm gonna do the rest of them with the airbrush, just to save some time, since I'm doing all of this live and wanting to get through some of these guys while we're all still awake, alert, and alive, and enthusiastic. If you're curious, tonight's drink of choice is from Hammerheart Brewing. It's called Flaming Longship, and it's a Scotch ale. So kind of a fun dark beer. Always good to have something nice to drink. For me, after a long workout, I just really jones for a beer. I don't know what it is. I think it's probably the calories in there, but yeah, it's been kind of beer 30 the past couple of nights that I've worked out. I almost lost. Did I? Okay, here we go. Lost track of my paint for a second. So just like we started with in the beginning, we're going to put a couple drops of flow improver in here. And then just about 1-to-1 of paint, a little bit less than. Boop, 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 boop. Put in about 4 drops, I guess, to the amount of flow improver I was using. I'm going to clean my dry brush here real quick while I'm still thinking about it, so that I can potentially use it later. I don't know, it's going to need probably about 24 hours to sit and get back to its poofy state. All right. So we're going to bubble, 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 get all of that incorporated in there. I think we're good to go. They opened up the gate a little wide on that. Okay, cool. So I'm just going to go ahead and make some passes over the dry brushing that I already did. Get a little bit closer. You really don't need a ton of paint. And like part of the whole reason why I do the airbrush thing too is because I don't need to have a ton of paint to do it. So it kind of cuts down on the shop cost, so to speak, of doing up models. You only use like just a little bit of paint to make all this work out. Hey, what's going on, D&Disability? The painting goes so far so good. We're just kind of getting our initial paints down on these space trooper dudes for tonight. So it's kind of just getting in there, and as the camera likes to focus on my airbrush for whatever reason. Really enjoys that. But yeah, we're slowly building up our colors here. These space marine looking guys from Wolfenstein, they're done up in kind of like an off white, kind of a taupe color. If you've ever, that weird interior decoration color that people use for their houses. It's kind of where these guys are at. Kind of eggshell white. That's probably a better descriptor of it. So we're just kind of going around and getting some color on these guys, and they're going to be off white. And then their secondary color is this kind of stripy looking deal in red. And then they've got a medical blue thing going on. Looks like a nitrile glove or something with that kind of blue color. Just gonna throw a little bit of this white underneath the model on our gray. I want there to be shadows, but I don't want it to be comic book contrast here. I want it to feel like they're still white, but not totally white, or like taupe, I guess. So we're gonna keep trucking along here. They all look the same to me. It's basically, yeah. They are kind of gonna look the same. This is essentially small batch army painting going on. So they're all, if you were gonna make some goblins for your tabletop or something, because I know you're kind of D&D centric. If you were gonna make some goblins for your tabletop, you'd probably just be banging them out in green, or whatever color you're gonna pick for your goblins. But you would do, 16 of them all the same kind of color and paint theme, I guess is what I'm getting at. And that's kind of the same for these guys. We're just kind of, we're doing the same here. So they're all getting eggshelled right now. And then I'm kind of coming around and just giving them a very thin coat of this off-white on the shadows, just so that it looks like from every angle that they're meant to be not gray. Okay, cool. Are you serious? Oh, Svarts. Yeah, no, I played in a campaign. I wonder where those came from. Svarts. Yeah, I played in a campaign where there was an evildoer that was a Svart. I had no clue that Svarts were a thing in D&D. But yeah, that's super cool. Kind of just sticking a second skin on our mini here. We go through this a little bit. Doesn't have to be anything too crazy. We're just going to make sure all the good bits and bobs are where they need to be. And if you're, out there using an airbrush for the first time, highly recommend. It's really just minute trigger pulls, because you're watching what I'm doing here. It's just really quick shots of paint, nothing super heavy. Cool. Gonna get his head a little bit more. There we go. I think this guy actually in the back, now that I'm kind of getting to go on these, I think this guy needs a little bit more love. I think I didn't quite put enough on his initial pass, on his helmet area, so he looks a little bit too gray for me. There we go. Now you're kind of sitting with the rest of your squad here. Yeah, for sure. Svarts are quite obnoxious, actually, at least from the introduction I had with them. Super obnoxious little guys. This guy had a magical set of underwear or something with a gem in it that he stole from a demon to give him his power, and he called it the God Piece instead of the Cod Piece. Anyways, it's kind of funny. As we go through this, I'm keeping the airbrush at an angle so that I can kind of keep those shadows relatively intact. Again, I'm trying to make sure that the color reads throughout the entire model. So I've got places, that are more sparsely colored with the paint, and then I have places that are super bright, like the gun and whatnot. Because your eye is naturally going to be drawn to a weapon, just from kind of how we operate as humans. But when it comes to shadows and stuff, if we have a little bit of color there, it's still very believable that it's a shadow. Don't get me wrong, but it reads much better when you're looking at it from top down, my opinion anyways. However, if you like that style, by all means go ahead and do it up, because at the end of the day, if you're painting this, it's your creation. Go for it. Do what you want to do. I'm just kind of showing you how I like to do it. So now we have a whole bunch of dudes who are basically a quarter of the way there. They've got their second skin, so to speak, in this off-white. And next up, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to start using red. Not sure if I'm going to do masking tape on this or what I'm going to do to kind of get those clean lines, but we'll figure it out. Story time, yeah. I have stories about Svarts and how much I am not a fan of Svarts. I tried to shoot a cannon at the God Piece, and I rolled a nat 1. So and it was funny, like after we had the session, the game master was like, if you would have even hit with that cannon, I would have just given it to you that the god piece was destroyed. And then we had to deal with this Svart overlord who had essentially made his own, chaotic religion. We had to deal with this guy for another like 3 sessions before we could off him. So kind of funny story time with Bill here on PML tonight. All right, we should be sitting pretty there on our airbrush cleanout. I'm gonna leave you there in case I need you again. So back to our, this is kind of what we're shooting for. The armor's a little different in this sculpt. Not sure why, but that's kind of what they went with. So we're gonna free ball this just a little bit. We're gonna free ball it a little bit, I think. How are we gonna run this? Because these sculpts are different, and maybe we can do let's see, can we do it like a side by side? Yeah, let's do that. So here's our sculpt. I'm gonna get him nice and close up. So here's our sculpt, and you can see the differences between that and our reference art. And sometimes this will kind of pop up every now and then. But yeah, our guy's just a bit different than what the gameplay kind of thing does. And I think this was more or less for the molding process, making it a bit easier. So we're gonna freehand this and kind of make it look like that, so to speak. So we'll do that. I don't want myself in a lower third. Can we just let's have this be here and me up there. There we go. Okay, cool. There's 3 build tees all in the stream right now. He baited the party into chasing him through a trapped hallway before they gave up. Very nice. Very nice. Kudos to your party. Kudos to your party. I'm happy to hear that. All right, let's shift to this and this. There we go. So I'm thinking we're gonna just start this with shoulder pads are red. Can we kind of focus here? There we go. So we're going to make the shoulder pads kind of red on top, white in the middle, and then we're going to see what kind of comes of that. So I'm going to put burnt red on our palette here, and we will go ahead and start plugging away on these guys. I'm hoping to get the secondary color in. That kind of medical blue color that we picked out for Bright Jade here. I think we picked out Bright Jade. Did we? Or was it? No, it wasn't that color either. Yeah, I think it was just Jade. Yeah, I think it was just the Bright Jade we went with. But anyways, that kind of medical blue color, we're going to work that in other places. It's going to be a bit smaller. It's going to be their gloves on their hands and stuff. So yeah. One technique that I don't do a ton on here, like on PML, we're going to go through. Okay, yeah, hey, go ahead and have a great night there, Wheeling Dragon. I appreciate you coming in and saying hello, though. It was really nice to kind of reconnect with you after quite some time. But yeah, we'll be back tomorrow at just about the same time here. So don't worry, if you're looking for more, you know where to find it. And I'll go ahead and give you a DM too when I've got the chance. But yeah, sleep well, take care, and we'll talk to you soon. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my palette here off in the background. I've got my palette right here on the edge of the thingamajig. We're going to put some of this red on here and water it down a little bit just to thin it out. And we're going to use a number 3 brush I'm using tonight. We got Monuments Pro Sable number 3. Oh boy, what happened there? I think there was maybe the last time I opened this, there must have been a temperature difference. I'm gonna need some new gloves, I think. Okay. A moment, if you will. So go ahead and change out my gloves here. A shout out to Asset Supply and Paper for the gloves. Hey, thank you very much for stopping by. They're D&Disability. You take care out there, and we'll talk to you again real soon. I'm sure I'll be chatting you up in the comment section of one of your videos here soon as well. But yeah, take care. Take care. We'll see you soon. So for those of you who are on the late night binger, thanks for hanging around. I think I'm probably going to go for another half hour. I am guessing I'm going to get through kind of the secondary colors on maybe one or two of these guys. At least that way I can kind of get a read on what I did last time, which is something that's a little bit difficult as a painter because I'll have paints strewn all over my desk, and then when I go to paint again, I don't remember which colors I used when and on what. But I've been looking at programs that might help that. One of them is called Brush Rage. If you're on Android, I think there's something very similar on Apple, but it's a mobile application for painters that are doing minis and stuff. Just gonna got a little bit of cord nuisance going on here. So now to thin this out, I literally will just take my brush, wash it, and then use the liquid that's in the brush. A lot of miniature paints, especially like Monument Hobbies, they're pretty quality stuff. You don't really have to water them down too much to get them to flow right, but they are very concentrated, which is in your favor. So we'll get kind of in here. Sorry for the quick focus and zoom in, but yeah, I'm just gonna try and freehand this the best I can. I'm gonna It's a bit of a steady hand here. Helps the brush work. I'm gonna try and leave the trim white. So let's talk about some upcoming projects. For those of you in the replay and those of you here now, let's talk about some upcoming projects. So Halo is on the chopping block, and I know that's going to be kind of popular with the YouTube crowd. But I think I honestly might leave that till later because I've got a couple ideas, a couple of projects that I might actually throw in front of. Might throw in front of that. I'm gonna, I've got a trebuchet to do in the style of, in just kind of a high fantasy style for the Dungeon Minister. and some other minis to do up for him as well. So I'm kind of contemplating about throwing that in front of Halo. Even though I know I could probably get like a ton more hits if I went that direction. But I'm not, I don't know. I know I would have a lot more fun with that than I would maybe with some of the Halo stuff, even though it is kind of near and dear to me. I grew up on those games, and I know they're super popular, and I could probably farm, try and farm likes and stuff, but I probably would enjoy that a bit more. Enjoy painting them more than the Spartans when it comes to my own personal choices. Oof. Trying to get some clean, crisp lines on this trim here. And my eyes are just struggling a little bit. That's okay. I'll have to probably clean some of this up and, post painting is what I call it anyways, but it's just kind of coming back through with, I'll show you what it is right now, but I'll take this same ivory color that we were using for the actual armor bit, and I'll throw just a wee little dab on our paint palette here. It doesn't have to be much at all. And I'll come back through and just, essentially clean up all of those lines. So if you look, I kind of, at least on the back of this guy's leg here, I think it's, yeah, over here, I kind of got a little bit sloppy. It's a bit thick. I'm just going to stipple, a little bit of stipple going on because I've got that gray underneath. And I'm going to kind of fake the eye out, so to speak. Make it look like it's not even there. That stippling effect, it leaves you with a little bit of color, but your eye is not going to pick that up, especially from range. We're going to do that too here on the trim. Just to kind of clean that up a little bit. Real light pressure because I'm working on a raised edge. There we go. Very nice. And now it doesn't look like I made a mistake at all. Alright, so we got some red on the shoulder pads, some red on the legs. We need some red on the arms somewhere. I think it's like maybe on his cuffs. Because this guy doesn't have like actual armor on his arms, which is fine. And A-OK. But we're going to need to put a little bit more red on here to really cement that as a secondary color. There we go, we've got one there. We'll find his other wrist here. else do we have this? It's kind of on his chest too. I'm gonna go red for his belt buckle. There we go. That'll kind of bring us home when it comes to making red our secondary color for this mini. You just have to have it in enough places that it kind of looks like it should be there. Because again, we're going to be throwing a little bit of that kind of medical blue color in here as well. And maybe some gray. That's not half bad. Where else do we have? Do we have any other sections of red? I think we're kind of good there with the red. We're just going to do one mini out of these guys just so I have a reference for next time I sit down and paint. Like, oh, where did I put this? Oh, where did I put that? So we're going to do one of them now that we have the majority of them kind of at the first stage. Once you get through that, it's like going to the gym. At least from what I've found out is that the worst part of going to the gym is actually getting there. And convincing, like trying not to convince yourself that you shouldn't go. You definitely should go. Or, you know, just doing something at home, too. You know, if you're going to do some weightlifting or you're going to go try and do some squats at home, the hardest part is just kind of getting into it. But once you're in there and working, it's a bit easier and, you know, you're like, okay, I'm just going to do it and then I'll be done and I don't have to worry about it. And that's kind of the way that I see getting that first initial paint step in is just kind of get all of them with some color. Because after that, it's just smaller brush strokes. And we're getting down to nitty-gritty, you know, kind of detail stuff. And I enjoy that, don't get me wrong. Like, I enjoy getting down to that nitty-gritty detail. Okay, you too, for whatever reason, are putting down way too much paint, but that's all right. Now we're using this bright jade color, all from Monument Hobbies, our good friends over at Monument Hobbies. You know, it's kind of funny when I first started working with Monument. Or, well, trying to coerce Monument into working with me. They're like, no, we've got distributors for this. And when I told them that their distributors wouldn't take me as a startup business, it was within, like, a couple of weeks. They had to debate it back and forth internally, but since there was no other option for me to get their paint as a, you know, a supplier, because I do supply the paints. You know, if you'd like some Monument Hobbies paints, we got you at pml.com. But it was really cool to see them rally around a smaller organization. And it's not like they had to do that. They could have just left me for the wolves, but they didn't. So that was kind of nice. We're going to go at a really high angle here. I think I'm going to get in here myself. What is that? Okay, so he's kind of got an apron or like a bib on underneath his like suit, so this will work out fine. We're just going to try and hit some of those points here. Here's the fun part of mini painting: trying to make sure all of it's actually painted. It looks like his armor actually has some segments back here as I'm painting it. So he's got a little bit of detail there that I can use to kind of scope this paint job out. That's what I get for not using a separate well. I accidentally mixed a little bit of this white in where I'm not really looking for it to be, but that's okay. We'll make it work. Again, we're just kind of going around. This is going to be our master model that we follow, just like we did for the original Soldaten guy. We're going to follow this paint scheme through for the rest of the models that we do. That's all right. A little misstroke there. Just use some of that original color. Kind of try and clean that up a little bit. It's alright. It's going to get covered with gray anyways. That whole area is going to be gray. Here we are. Back it up just a little bit. It looks like his gloves are the same kind of off teal kind of thing. So we're going to do that there. Kind of funny, it's, you know, painting his hands like painting a grain of rice. It's absolutely tiny, some of these. I've only loaded my brush about halfway at this point since we're working with really tiny details. I don't need all that paint in the barrel, and the barrel of the brush is kind of the thickest point of the brush. But I really don't need that. What I really need is a thin point and enough paint on there to make that work. Just put a little bit of blue under them like that. There we go. Very nice, very nice. I think we're just kind of about there with our initial bits of this. I'm gonna go ahead and use like, let's see, use a bit of this bright neutral gray. We're gonna do a couple extra tidbits around. Maybe we'll use like just a standard gray. I think I have that out here. Yeah, neutral gray. We're gonna use a little bit of that anyways, on some of the piping and stuff. I mean, it seems, it would make sense if he's like a soldier out in space that you wouldn't have a bunch of black bits on you, since essentially the sun would have enough heat in it to like melt that specific area, because you'd have problems with heating on that front. That's why spacesuits are white. So that they reflect the heat. But they also need to be super insulated, since it's like negative a million outside. Sorry, it's like absolute zero, I guess. I'm not a scientist, I just know that's kind of what happens. Alright, so we'll put a little bit of this neutral gray here on the palette. Just a dab will do ya on that front. Get a little water on my brush here. We'll start working. I'll literally thin this down per brush stroke, really. Comes down to it. If I need more paint in there, I'll just pull it from the blob that I put down. But you don't need a ton of paint, really. So here's, I put like color swatches on my glove here. Part of that is, me getting a point on the brush, but I can also see what happens if I put it right over the red or the green, and kind of get an idea of what that'll look like depending on its opacity and viscosity. We're just going to start with this kind of chin mount rebreather thing underneath its helmet here. Then we're going to go with the mask part. I think that's kind of a bit more of a gray bit. I'm going to take a look at, let's try... Of some of these areas nearby these straps. Let's do the top of his gun, kind of break up all that white. Sorry if that's a little bit off screen there. We'll just do one section of his gun. Maybe the magazine. We could do the magazine too in gray. Again, start to separate out these colors a bit more. little bit of a misstroke there. Kind of know I'm starting to get tired when I'm doing misstrokes. So just get us a little bit of that starting color again and fill that in. There we go. We can kind of put a couple of dots of gray on them there too. Where else can we put some gray on this guy? Again, some of these straps he could probably do. These little dot boys on the back of his armor. We could maybe even do the trim. Yeah, I'm going to have to probably call it quits here soon. My eyes are getting a little tired, and I'm starting to kind of mess up my paint job here. Okay. Well, we'll leave it there for now, I think. But this is basically kind of the color scheme we're going for this guy, essentially. If we look at our kind of side-by-side with the reference art, get a much better idea here. Let's see, so we'll do, yeah. That's basically kind of what we're trying to emulate, I suppose, right now. This is, again, you know, his hand's like a quarter the size of a grain of rice. But I think it's coming along pretty well, anyways, for what we've got going. We'll keep trucking on these boys tomorrow night, I think. All in all, though, getting a nice quick batch of you know, getting these guys in their main color, I suppose, is a bit of weight off my chest, as well as having the super soldiers done and kind of our master model for the rest of this like ground infantry guys. I think having this guy done was a big step forward too. So now all I got to do is just kind of hammer out the rest of those guys, kind of get these guys in the same place he is. And we should be good to go in terms of having this batch done so that we can dig into this box even more and get more of these guys. We haven't even started on the character models yet, but we will get there. Let me Here we are. Here's me. Well, I think for tonight, that's about all I've got energy for. It's about an hour and a half. But thank you all for coming in and tuning in to Paint Minis Live. I appreciate you being here. I hope you enjoyed yourself, and I hope you maybe learned a thing or two about painting models. If you have any questions, please let me know. I'm always happy to help. This is my contribution to all things hobby and nerddom. And if there's any way I can kind of promote that for you, I'd love to. With that being said, I'm Bill T here for Paint Minis Live. I hope you have a great morning, noon, or night, wherever you are and whenever you are, and we will catch you again in the next one. Hey, thanks, Miss Bella. It's good to see you. All right. Take care.